My name is Glen Irvin, and I work at Wabasha-Kellogg Schools, and I am a Spanish teacher and a technology integrationist for the district. This is my 13th year working at Wabasha, 18th year overall as far as a Spanish teacher. I have used Schoology actually for the last 5 years. We have used the enterprise version for the last 3 years at our school district. Schoology, as far as my classroom, is the most integral part of what happens, not just because of what happens inside of my classroom, but what happens outside of the classroom. So it contains all the content, the communication, the interactive activities that I set up for my students are all set up inside of Schoology. So when our internet goes down, or if there's ever anything wrong, as far as with Schoology, it's a big deal as far as my class because everything is housed there. The biggest piece, if you don't have Schoology, you will have to find some other way to be able to engage your students beyond the 50 minutes or whatever amount of precious time you have as far as in your classroom, or you won't engage them outside of your classroom. And that's the biggest piece, I believe, is that students can continue to interact with content, formative assessments, or whatever else you've set up inside of your Schoology classroom beyond the school hours, which has greater impacts on student learning. Without it, you can only do so much within that time frame as far as your class. And some students aren't prepared to learn during those 50 minutes at 8 o'clock in the morning. I have 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They're not prepared. They're not mentally there to be able to do that. But maybe later on, they can still interact with the materials and be able to still get content and still learn, even if they're picking it up at 10 or 11 o'clock at night versus at 8 a.m. Since adopting Schoology, I would say that student engagement, student learning has definitely gone up. And it's not just me saying that or an anecdotal quote. I have actual evidence that my student scores on assessments, both formative and summative assessments, have gone up. And I think it has to do mostly with the engagement factor as far as being able to go and find a place where all of the things are housed at, and also to be able to learn items beyond the time frame that are set inside of the school hours. It's a very, very powerful learning tool. Without it, it is a struggle, I would say, as far as teachers being able to get content because of the limited amount of time and interaction you have with your students. So I've only been an ambassador this year, but I would say that the Schoology community, and I've posted this on Twitter a lot, it's not just about the learning management system, which it is, but there's something about the community itself that is willing to share with each other, almost unlike any other community there. So instead of people hoarding things, they're willing to share ideas, content, assignments with each other to be able to make each other, the community, better. And then I want to, as a teacher then, and as an ambassador, continue that trend. So anything that I create as far as original content, I share all of my stuff with my fellow Schoology community people, because I want them to, if they can benefit from it, why not share all those things? The future vision as far as in my classroom, utilizing Schoology, I was very inspired by what Jeremy Friedman was talking about this morning, which is an ability for us to be able to customize learning for each student. We talk about that all the time as far as differentiating. And that's very difficult to do as a teacher, even if you only had the average classroom of 24 students, but over the day you might have 100 and some students. To differentiate for each student, that vision that Schoology has as far as being able to do that at ease is where I want to go to. A lot of the things that I do currently in my classroom is tailored for that specifically, but it takes time, and some teachers don't have that amount of time. They don't have the expertise to be able to do that, and I think Schoology knows that that's where we're headed as far as education itself, and they're starting to customize all of the different tools to make sure that we can differentiate learning for all of our students.